The US is ready for talks with Russia, China and North Korea to reduce the nuclear threat, says Joseph Biden. I wonder how that is going to happen after all. Zoom? Skype? Meeting on the moon? Where North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un arrives in his armored space train. Doo-doo! And most important, when was the last time someone managed to talk sense to dictators, autocrats and criminal thugs at power here on Earth? Especially clearly showing them that Western openly fears any escalation. I mean, it is like to play blackjack with someone you know is a card sharper and you still provide him with a wild card before you even sat at the table. Washington is ready to engage in talks with Russia, China and North Korea without preconditions to reduce the nuclear threat, US President Joe Biden said recently. The comments came after Russia adopted changes to its nuclear doctrine, lowering the threshold for its nuclear response. There is no benefit to nations or the world to forestall progress on reducing nuclear arsenals, Biden said. Reducing the nuclear threat is important not despite the dangers of today's world, but precisely because of them. End of quote. And what if there is sense? And the benefit of Russian nuclear threat is Russian nuclear threat as such. After all, Russian dictator Putin has repeatedly made nuclear threats against Ukraine and the West since the beginning of the full-scale invasion in February 2022. All these threats have failed to materialize, and Russia continues to wage its all-out war without using its nuclear arsenal. But there is no need to use it, as fear is working. Even being non-tangible, Russian nuclear threats are working. West is backing. In late September, dictator Putin expanded the scenarios that could trigger a Russian nuclear response, including reliable intelligence of a large-scale cross-border attack involving aircrafts, missiles or drones. He also said that any attack on Russia backed by a nuclear power would be treated as a joint assault. That means, Putin says, oh wait, that concerns all the Western countries. The Kremlin claimed the move was a direct response to discussions in the US and UK about allowing Ukraine to strike deep into Russian territory with Western-supplied long-range conventional missiles. Well, in fact, what dictator Putin does is not just wants to destroy Ukraine as such, as an entity and sovereignty, and as a nation, but he wants a humiliation for the West. He wants a collective West to watch this destruction and happening before their own collective eyes, and do nothing about that. Moreover, dictators unite much faster than democratic leaders do. Well, such yourself, North Korea has become one of Russia's leading allies in its full-scale war against Ukraine, providing ammunition and missiles, and now, reportedly, sends troops to aid Russian forces. And you know what? Dictators are right. Kim Jong-un is right. Putin is right. And no, I am sane and I am serious. If the enemy, and Western democracy, is surely an enemy to any dictator, even the West prefers to keep its collective eyes wide shut on the fact. So, if obviously the Western democracy have no will to help in its full might the country that is spilling its blood for the human values the Western democracy turns out to only be preaching about and not actually defending them, even having no need to fight on its own and having such a military intermediary as us, Ukraine, well then, I'm sorry, a dictator is a dictator. He simply dictates his will upon those who lack such on their own.